A great job showing them to you. We call this color mink, but it's different colors and kinds of mink coats, right?
Right.
What are we looking at, if you can see right now, kind of that dark
That's
one?
a natural mink. That's Manischewitz, Manny.
And it looks like a normal mink coat. And then we've got some lighter minks
seal
also.
Points. And then you've got two champagnes. That's the baby. She's 4 months old.
Okay.
Muse. The golden beige coat with the chocolate points.
And,
on my lap is Sadie.
And we've got one underneath our computer.
That's my honey mink girl. It's the rarest of the colors, and that's Cafe au lait. She's gorgeous.
The other thing, they don't just look like minks, but they feel like minks. That coat is a really nice coat.
The references to the texture as well as the color.
Do me another favor. Hold that head real steady, and we'll get a real tight shot of the eyes, because this breed has aqua-colored. And we have to get, come on over here.
Unique characteristics of the breed are aqua eyes and the mink coats.
Of course they're not, she's not.
And Sadie is a grand champion.
Can you see how beautiful? Oh, here, let me. Poor cat.
Take your hands away from
There's
her
no
eyes,
way
and
I'm
somebody
gonna
over there say, here,
there
kitty, kitty.
And you can see that they do indeed have beautiful aqua-colored eyes. Other interesting thing about this breed is they are the least allergenic of all the breeds, supposedly. And we don't really know why.
No, we don't. It has something to do with the saliva, but I work in nursing homes with these cats and with people who have disturbed immune systems. They don't bother them at all.
Keep screens on the windows if you have these cats?
Absolutely.
Big
They love
jumpers?
to fly.
Okay.
They think they're eagles.
Also, you may have to be on a waiting list if you want to talk.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, really, Steve.
How long do you think we might have to wait?
Very much in demand. It just depends. Certain times of the year, there are more kittens around than others, but you could wait as long as 6 months or a year for a kitten.
Okay, let's check out how much you have to pay for a Tonkinese as we check out the Pet Department summary of the road test. If you want a Tonkinese, you're going to pay between $500 and $1,000, maybe more for show quality. And again, you might have to wait 6 months. They're very family-oriented. They're very friendly, even though that grab that we took the picture looks a little menacing. They are prone to some kidney problems later in life. As long as your vet knows about it, you can help be aware of that. Keep their teeth clean, of course. And the usual cat grooming stuff goes for them. But I have to say, they really are a fine breed, interesting breed, and we don't have a lot of new breeds around that are healthy and interesting, and this is one of the ones
that
we really like.
This breed goes all the way back and naturalized in Thailand and is one of the most popular breeds approaching the new century.
And I would say that you had a big hand in that. Thank you, Joan Bernstein, for coming and bringing the Tonkin.
Thank you for having us.
Coming up on the program, we're going to show you how to keep the peace in your house if you've got cats and dogs. But coming up next, we're going to take you to Baltimore to meet a canine hero. The Pet Department returns in just a moment.
Today's Pet Department Road Test is brought to you by Pedigree.
Lots of barking going on in the apartment today. I'm not quite sure. Okay, this is a great big horse that's not real. And then we have a picture of a horse that is real. It's our photo du jour today. This is a 14-year-old standard-bred mare owned by Rob and Phyllis Flint of Saco, Maine, and her name is Cassie. Really a fine-looking horse. Nicole even said she knows horses. All right, if you'd like to send us a picture of your pet, send it to the Pet Department. It's P.O. Box 825, Madison Square Station, New York City, 10159-0825. You know, there are a lot of dogs that we call search and rescue dogs, and this breed of dog goes back to, well, I guess St. Bernards that used to rescue skiers in the Alps. But Jane Fergus is standing by in Baltimore, Maryland to introduce us to one particular dog who really touched the entire country's heart. Right, Jane?
That's right, Steve. This is Barney, and he's a member of the Search and Rescue Unit here at the Baltimore County Fire Department. Barney actually developed cancer, and the treatment was going to cost $3,000. When the department realized they didn't have that money, they started to solicit for donations, and Steve, they raised over $45,000. Here to tell us more about this is Lieutenant Dan Kluge, Barney's owner and handler. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Barney does on the job?
Well, Barney's a search dog for us, and he's trained to find the human scent. Whether it's underwater or in a disaster with a building collapse or a lost child in the woods.
And what's interesting is that he doesn't really work with fire that often.
No, we don't put a little mask on him and a coat and he send him into fires. Barney's trained to find that human scent, usually using the air currents.
Okay, why don't you show us how you found the lump?
Well, we're in deer tick country here, which carry Lyme disease, so we're constantly checking our dogs.
Which is something you should do whenever your dog comes in from the outside anyway.
Yes, you should. And we were checking in the neck area and found a pea-sized lump in the lymph nodes. That's what lymphosarcoma is cancer of the lymph system. And we took him to the vet, and they checked it out, and the test came back positive for the lymphosarcoma.
Okay, so what was the treatment recommended?
Well, the treatment is just like the treatment for Hodgkin's disease in humans, chemotherapy. And Barney is also under special treatment. When he was put in remission through the chemo, then he started the antibodies treatment,
Now, this is
monoclonal
kind of a new
antibodies.
treatment. Why don't you tell us exactly how this
Okay.
works as we show where Barney was shaved so they could take a tissue sample from
Okay,
him.
Barney, we took the back of the leg. The vets had to shave the area, and they took a sample out, tissue sample from the lymph system. And they ran tests on it and grew his own antibodies from that.
And then they inject that back into the dog?
Then when we get him in remission, they inject that back into him. That keeps the dog in remission.
Okay, now Steve, as we said, it's a progressive but expensive treatment, $3,000. What made you decide to start soliciting for donations?
Well, our public information office put out a press release, and the media picked up on that, both national and international, and it went from there.
And somebody put it out over the internet, so you got donations from far away.
We got donations California, Puerto Rico, and even had radio interviews with Australia.
Wow, so what are you going to do with the extra money? You have a couple of dollars left over now.
Well, we do, and we have a couple dogs in our program. There's 3 altogether, including Barney. We have another golden retriever named Riggs, and a black lab named Maddie.
And so the money will go for their treatment?
We'll carry this money as kind of a catastrophic health insurance for the dogs. Should any of them get sick, we'll have this money. Also, we'll use the money for replacement and training of new dogs.
Now, during Barney's chemotherapy and his treatment, was he still able to work?
Well, a lot of times in humans, you see chemotherapy and you automatically think sickness, losing hair, things like that. The dogs don't react that way, and Barney was able to continue work all through his treatment.
Oh, but you said that he took steroids and he pumped up a little bit.
One of his treatment was steroids, and he started to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger there after a while.
Barney will be back. Well, good luck with the program. Thank you so much for stopping by the pet department here. Barney looks great. Is he feeling good now?
He's feeling very good. In fact, what he'd like to do is thank all the people around the country that sent in and helped him.
Well, great. Thank you so much. And you know, Steve, one of the things that Barney liked to do best was to go around with Lieutenant Kluge to classrooms and teach children about fire safety and fire prevention. And now with his treatment, he's still able to do that.
Thank you very much, Jane Fergus. A really, really nice story, and we're glad that Barney is feeling a lot better. I'm very worried about Jack, though. I think he needs professional help. You bored? Yeah, me too. You want to play a game? Why don't we play with your ball? Let's see where it is. I think you left it here a minute ago. You know your tennis ball? The orange one? You can't find it? You know, I don't know what you do with your toys. Go get your ball. That actually got a little bit of a chuckle out there. See, he's obsessive compulsive, anal retentive, all of those things all wrapped into one. Hey, can't we all just get along? Well, when the pet department comes back, pet department trainer Andrea Arden is going to be along to say, yes, it is possible to mix cats and dogs. Find out how in just 2 minutes. I'm Steve Walker, and that's pet department trainer Andrea Arden, and she's here to tell us that, yes, cats and dogs really can coexist in the same home, but it's really up to the owner to set a good example, isn't it?
Well, yeah. To teach them that they have to get along. Yeah.
As usual. So what we've got is a couple of cats and dogs in the apartment. They're all getting along just fine. And you're going to show us, first of all, how kittens and puppies should kind of be introduced to each other, and so that they're going to be getting along
This is your
together.
best chance for success, is to start with a young cat and a young dog, and to
Okay.
teach them at a very young age that they need to get along with each other.
And this little guy is a little feisty, and Samantha, our intern, is
Yes.
getting nipped on the hand. Just what you do is just, Andrea just showed me, you just reach in the mouth and you just push down.
Yeah, let him bite himself instead of you, but that's a whole
right.
nother topic.
Oh, that's another whole training segment. Now, they're obviously getting along just fine. In fact, they hardly even know that there's another cat or another dog within a few
Well, they
feet
know
of them.
that they're there, but one of the things we've done, first of all, is the kitten is very tired, which is a good thing.
Okay.
To start off introducing them at times when they're a little bit sleepy, so they're not as anxious and not as playful around each other.
So maybe after they just woke up,
yeah,
or
or
at
after
least,
they've eaten, maybe about a half an hour after they've eaten, when their tummies are
and when
full.
they're not really riled up like
yeah,
he
like
is.
he is, right?
Sorry. What about feeding time? Because I know that you do recommend actually feeding them both near each other. Is that one
Absolutely.
way to have them meet?
Okay, they don't need to be fed right near each other, but it's a good idea to have them associate being around each other with good things. And most animals like food.
Of course.
So if you feed them when they're near each other, they'll start to think, oh, being near this cat or being near this dog is a good thing.
And you also say that we should schedule some meetings and start bringing them together in the same room to start introducing them to each other?
Yeah, what I would do first of all is when you schedule meetings with new animals, don't have the whole family there because it usually is a little too anxious, especially if there are children in the house where they're trying to get involved and they really want them to become friends fast, so they'll push them together. Don't do that. Try and make it as calm as possible.
Okay.
Have it just be one person with the animals.
Okay, and obviously when we're not at home, keep them separated. Otherwise, they're going to start to develop their own.
Yeah, and you're not there
stuff.
to show them what's the right way to behave.
How do you feel about that? Just because some people say, just put them in a room and let them figure it out themselves.
I don't. My mother used to do that all the time, but I don't agree with it. There's a few reasons why I don't agree with it. First of all, if they get into a situation where they do start to fight and then you get involved to break them up, you could get hurt.
Okay.
The animals can get hurt, and so could you.
And sometimes the dog can have the dominant personality.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if you've got a dog from a shelter like this puppy.
Speaking of dogs, we have Oliver. Is this Oliver?
No, this is Maggie,
You
actually.
always trick me.
That's right. Okay.
We have Maggie, and we also have a cat over here.
Yeah.
Now, if the animals are older and adults, then we have
It's a lot tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a situation actually we just found out this cat does not like dogs.
Okay.
So right away, actually, somebody was handling the cat, did the first thing that you really shouldn't do. What she did was she had the cat on a leash and she pulled the cat towards the dog.
You don't want to do that.
which
So that's
is-
just going to inflame the situation.
Exactly, you're forcing them to say hello. What I like to do is, I like to get the dog in a situation where the dog's already trained. Maggie, down. Put the dog in a down somewhere near the
Right.
cat, but don't force the cat to go near the dog. Let the cat just hang out.
Right.
Okay, notice how he's vocalizing now. He's not happy about the situation.
Right.
But he'll be even less happy if you force him to go towards the dog.
Okay.
Okay, if he wants to just walk around and pretend like he's not paying attention to Maggie, let him do that.
Let him do that.
Yeah.
But good to have them both on leashes.
Absolutely.
When you're
Both
doing
of
this.
them, absolutely. You have to have them under control.
I might point out to the Pet Department viewers, we're not torturing this cat or,
No.
making him go crazy by just having the dog here. We are being careful about that.
Very careful,
We
yeah.
certainly wouldn't force them any more than you would in your home
Yeah.
to go together. Any final tips about getting cats and dogs to get along
Well,
together?
I really want to reiterate the point that you really should not leave them alone, especially if it's two adult animals who don't know each other that well. And especially if the cat is declawed, because the cat has no way to protect itself.
What if we have a dog and a cat and they just don't seem to be getting along? Should we give it a month or two, or should we really consider getting,
It
changing
depends.
the situation?
Each situation is different. It depends on the personality of the animals. If you have a cat who's very submissive and a dog who's very dominant, and you can see that their situation is that the dog would hurt the cat,
Okay.
then I would suggest thinking about maybe trying to find a better home for that one of the
Okay.
animals.
I think that's all good advice. And next week you're going to tell us how to get goldfish and hamsters to get along. Is that?
Yeah, right.
You're right.
It's
All
a
right.
tough one.
All right. Thank you very much, Pet Department
Thank
Trainer
you.
Andrea Arden. Recently, we took our Pet Department cameras out on the street and we asked some kids, what kind of a pet would you like to have? And we gave them 3 kind of strange choices.
I would want a pet dinosaur because I like dinosaurs. Sea monster because I like the water. I like a pet dinosaur because I have the whole city to myself.
A unicorn because I believe to be able to fly, so I can fly anywhere I wanted.
Pet dinosaur. Dinosaur. I wouldn't want any of those because they're very big.
Earlier on the show, I showed you a picture of a horse. What's the average lifespan of a horse? That's our question of the day, and I'll answer it for you in just a moment.
This portion of FX is brought to you by Imes Dog and Cat Foods. Good for life. From the Imes Company.
Andrea Arden's quite the horsewoman. I wonder if she happens to know what the average lifespan of a horse. I'm certain you know, in general terms, how long horses
Well,
live.
I won't even answer because I already saw it. That would be cheating.
You're an honest gal. I really appreciate that. Well, tell them what it is.
20 years.
20 years is the average lifespan of a horse. Do you currently own a horse?
I do. Yep.
Do you? And how old is your horse?
He's 9.
Is he a good-looking horse?
He's a beautiful horse. He's an Arabian.
Got a lot of time. You want to talk about that horse? No. Actually, what I want to do is I want to thank Jane Fergus, who was in Baltimore, Maryland today, for that fine, fine story that you told us. Thanks, Jane.
Goodbye, Steve. We want to thank the Baltimore County Fire Department, Lieutenant Dan Kluge, and I think Barney wants to say goodbye, too.
Brian, can you say goodbye? Speak. Speak. Good boy.
Yeah,
Good
very nice.
boy.
Bye-bye, Jane. You know, Jack can do that trick. Jack, speak. Oh, it's going to take all 2 minutes that we have. Will you throw me a treat, Lou? Yep.
Maggie can do it without a treat.
I got it. Well, did you hear that? Speak. Speak.
Maggie.
Speak.
Maggie, come here. Maggie, speak. Good
Yeah! You're showing me up. All right. Also, we have enough time that I wanted to reference a couple of questions that we have that sort of dovetail very nicely with what we did today. We talked about introducing a cat to a dog, but actually 2 people have written in and they've said, what about when we introduce a cat to a cat? Which is a whole sort of different set of problems, especially if you have a cat who has had free run of your house and suddenly you bring another cat in.
Yeah.
Do you have any basic advice on how to do that the right way?
Well, it's very similar. I would first of all suggest not introducing them on the territory that the one cat already has.
Hard to do though, because...
Well, you can take them outside in a harness.
And that's better. That's
yeah,
enough
I
of
think
a
it's
change?
better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not enough of, they'll still be probably territorial, but...
Some people say lock them in different rooms when you're not at home. What do you think of that advice?
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and be there when you're introducing them.
Yeah.
And they usually kind of figure it out eventually between themselves, don't they?
Hopefully. You may get into a situation where one or the other starts to mark,
Yeah.
their territory, which spaying and neutering may help.
All right.
a bit, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Pet Department Trainer Andrea Arden. Always very, very good advice. Can you believe showing me up on the training tricks?
I had to do it.
We got to get busy, Jack. Thank you again to Jane Fergus and Barney down in Baltimore, Maryland, and thank you for being here. We'll see you on the next Pet Department.